Hello and welcome to Inclusive Plug powered by RECONOMY. As our communities grow, the need for environmentally responsible building practices becomes more crucial than ever. For this episode, we are joined by an incredible panel of experts in the field who are steering the change towards more sustainable landscapes. Together, we'll explore how emerging trends are shaping the real estate market, the opportunities in promoting green building standards, and the collaborative efforts that make these advancements possible. Join us as we discuss the future of construction, its impact on our planet, and the role that innovative leadership plays in creating a sustainable tomorrow. With me are Stela Dhami, Managing Partner at Colliers International, Dejan Smolar, CEO at the Croatian Green Building Council, and my colleague Vidoje Kojovic, representative of Helvetas in the framework of RECONOMY. Stela, let's start with you. How is the real estate market responding to the demand for energy efficient and sustainable buildings in Albania, but also the surrounding region like the Western Balkans?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Sabine. Thank you for this amazing opportunity to be here with you and other like-minded colleagues to share a little bit of our experience in the green building sector. So Albania is moving at extremely rapid pace in terms of construction. And being that we are surrounded by beautiful countries of the Mediterranean, like Italy and Greece and the rest of the Western Balkans, we're also always learning from our friends and colleagues in terms of bringing great sustainable practices to our construction and development sector. So in that ambit, in the last recent years, Colliers, through our sustainable services, has been able to not only introduce these green features to the construction sector through our many discussions with our dear clients, mostly local developers, but also some foreign investors. But also we've been able to achieve some success in terms of green building certification. So this is news for our market. We were able to certify the first BREEAM Excellent design building in Tirana, going to Park Avenue, a building developed by Orion Construction, a local developer. And it will be the first, let's say, office building in Tirana that will have this amazing certification, which shows that this building has been using and utilizing the best and most sustainable design practices used worldwide. So this is the first. We've also been able to achieve with our dear client Castrati Group for Downtown One, the first LEED pre-gold certificate. So it's called a pre-certificate because the construction has not been fully delivered to the client. Mm-hmm. And I think the systems, both LEED and BREEAM, both want to make sure that the completion of the construction projects is achieved exactly as per design. So we've been able to achieve their LEED Gold, which is amazing for Tirana. And already we've seen an impact in terms of the clientele who is looking for these certifications, even though they might not know exactly specifically all the criteria that an investor needs to fulfill and satisfy in order to obtain these certificates. They know that these certificates, both as obtained by LEED, the U.S. Green Building Council, and also by BREE, which is awarding the BREEAM certificates, both of these certificates stand for excellent quality in design. What does it actually mean to build a green building? It means to build a good building, right? You start with obtaining the right site, the right orientation of the site as to maximize natural light. You start with using the right energy systems where you are offering to the occupiers, whether these are residents or office occupiers in a mixed-use property, you offer them energy efficient measures. And we know at this day and age where a lot of these geopolitical conflicts are arising also because of these major energy issues that we have worldwide. So we just need to be so much more careful of all this use of these natural resources that we have, water and energy and all of this. So we've been very lucky to be the advisors of these projects. I really do hope that in the foreseeable future, more demand will arise from tenants, and this would be corporate occupiers who are now using ESG not only as a tool to look good in terms of the entire society, but they're really believing in the value of what E and S and G are standing for, right? So we need to take care of the environment, of course. We need to take care of our society. We need to take care of our corporates. We need to make sure that all this profit is not coming to the detriment of the environment. That's not a good goal, I think, overall. So Tirana and Albania in general, it's moving, like I said, it's a very fast pace. I have a little bit of concern for the rapid, let's say, pace of tourism. We're growing very fast in this ambit. We reached 10 million visitors last year. This year, we're foreseen to see 14 million visitors, which is, of course, putting extra pressure on all these assets that we have, hotels and apart hotels, and it's increasing the use of these, resources that are limited, like I said. So I am concerned about what the owners of these properties are doing in order to, of course, maximize the return of their properties, but also while taking care of these limited resources, like I mentioned, water, energy, and all that. So hopefully we will see more sustainable building practices in this arena on the coast as well in tourism, because, sustainable construction is not just for office occupiers or residential buildings, but also for these tourists who are coming to our beautiful home countries. And we want to make sure they come and they enjoy these beautiful countries that we live in, but while taking care of the environment and taking care of these assets, right? That's the goal. I foresee in the future, Sabine, even more so, movement in the area of ESG and more green building practices. I think once, of course, the green agenda of the EU is putting a lot of pressure, primarily to EU member states, but I think it's down spiraling even to non-member states like Albania, but who have the ultimate goal of joining the EU. So part of this growth plan for the Western Balkans will be to incentivize even more so the green agenda. And this green agenda, of course, you have to have many actors who are working together in order to bring forward the agenda, right? So it starts from the banking sector, which should have it as an emphasis to basically introduce project financing for projects that are really, truly bringing value to the community, and introduce green lending practices, let's say, but really emphasize that it's happening on the ground, not just on paper. And so if this is being pushed down, let's say, from the
Right.
banking sector down to the investors, then we have pulling up demand coming from the occupiers. Then I see all these actors coming together and bringing forward the green agenda even more so in the coming years.
Thank you very much, Stella. I'll come back actually to you about the experience of Colliers in other countries being part of the green building councils. But before that, Dejan, you being CEO of the Green Building Council in Croatia, could you explain how green building councils help enhance sustainable construction practices in the Western Balkan region?
Yeah. Thank you, Sabine. And yeah, I'm really glad to be here with you. So we are very interesting organizations. We are association of companies, but also sort of a chamber, and doing research and development, sort of a think tank as well. So yeah, quite interesting thing doing, but we are private initiative before everything. So it goes from the real sector, from the private sector. We are also NGO, non-governmental, non-profit organization representing industry. So private or real sector or whatever you would like. Yeah, but we also do connect. I always tell about this triangle between private sector, industry, public sector, governmental sector, yeah, and academia. So we act as this triangle in the coordination and communication between these three sectors. So our members are not only coming from private sector, but also from these both two. So this is one of our major ideas. So why do we exist? So for example, if you as a government bring a new regulation on any level, whether it would be local, national, or EU level, you need it to work. You need it to be implemented in the industry. You need it to be operational. So if it doesn't work, then you got only blank letters on the paper. So this is our role as well. We do involve industry, but we also find the feedback back from the bottom-up approach. So it goes the other way as well, other way around. So new ideas and improvement go from the industry sector to the public and government as well. Yeah. So the most important thing is this network cooperation between public and private, and also largely with academia. So we do actually develop the market in the way of research and development as well. So, for example, we do a lot of different projects where we find and deal with different problems that at the moment we found important.
Thank you, Dejan. And what are some challenges you've encountered while promoting green building standards?
Well, from the beginning, it was all the same. We call ourselves green building council. So general public always ask itself, what is green? Is it only like green roofs, or I don't know, is it planting trees around the building? Or is it I don't know, is it only energy efficiency, or what it is? So basically, is it or is it the same as sustainable? What is sustainable? What is green? And these questions goes all around, because people think that it's a big difference. It's not big difference. So in our example, the green and sustainable is the same. There are some GBCs around the world, green building councils, as we have here in Croatia, that they call themselves sustainable building councils. So basically, it's the same thing. We don't make any difference in it. But generally, what is green building or what is sustainable building? We actually talk about sustainable built environment. So basically, whenever humans did something in the environment, if they did it in a sustainable way, that means that it doesn't have any negative influence on the next generations. Then it's green building or green built environment. So it's not only buildings; it's infrastructure and everything that was influenced by the humans in the nature. The most important understanding of the green building is for three different aspects. So, of course, there is this environment. How does the buildings influence the environment, the nature, the air pollution, the indoor air, or of course, the climate and CO2 and everything? This is very straightforward. People quite easily understand these problems about the green building. But there is also very important, and we do put the same strength or the same weight on the other two aspects. The second one is socio-economical or socio-cultural. So this is the question: how do buildings influence us humans? How do they influence our health, our security? About the earthquakes or fires or whatever. This is very important, and also. How do they influence our health or our well-being? Because we do spend like almost 90% of our time in the buildings. And there's the third one, which is also we give it the same weight, and it is the economical aspects of the green building, because we do not promote to build the space shuttles, or very futuristic buildings that nobody can pay for them. They need to be for everyone, so that everyone can pay for them, and then they are sustainable. Otherwise, they are not. So we showed several real examples in Croatia, but hundreds around the world, where the green buildings really do not need to be more expensive than the standard ones, not just in the operational phase when they bring less on the less you pay for the energy or the maintenance, but they can also be cheaper in the beginning, from the construction phase as well. If you start to think about them, to develop them as soon as possible, and think and coordinate holistically between all the different experts who develop and prepare the new project.
Thanks, Dan. And do you have any success stories you could share to showcase the opportunities that come from green building councils?
Yeah, we do have many different success stories. So for example, there is one company in Zagreb who is it's called VMD, and they are one of the most important developers of multi-apartment buildings, multi-flat buildings. So residential sector. This market is very specific, and they really don't need to be green to sell, because there is so big demand for example, for the flats in Zagreb, that they really don't need to show something more. They don't need to show that they are sustainable, they are green. They will sell. So, and also the funds from that goes into this market is very easy to find. So basically, you don't need to differentiate your building to sell it better, or to to get better funds, because there is so big demand in Zagreb for the flats that you will get easy money from any bank for this, and you will sell it easily, But anyhow, they were like the first ones, and they started to build green flats, really sustainable. Everybody could see it. You don't need to know what is, I don't know, heat pump or right, biodiversity or whatever. Everyone who could come over there, they could see that it's different. So basically, they became number one in this, and they became recognized as a green development company for the flats. And then they just rocketed to the top of the market here in Zagreb. And now what is great, that others do follow, but they are the first. Others do follow. Others are coming. Everybody understood that you need to build better.
Dan, do you think it had an impact in their sales, even though the rise in demand for flats in Zagreb is so high? Because honestly, in Tirana, we noticed as soon as these two projects put around their sites that they were under the LEED and BREEAM scheme, we noticed that the investors and developers, the same in this case, they had a direct increase in the demand for their projects.
Yeah.
So it means, in my mind, and in the analysis that we do in the office, is that the consumer in the Western Balkans is not really lagging that far behind in terms of the consumer in Western markets, right? Everybody, at the end of the day, wherever we are located worldwide, we are all sharing this path in humanity. And this path says that we all want to do good by our families, but also by our home. And I don't just mean the home where we live, but our home, the environment. So let's not forget that the construction sector worldwide is worth 42% of the CO2 emissions worldwide. So we
Mhm.
do have a serious impact that we can make into the environment. And the more, generations go through this process called life, the more they're understanding that the impact that we have is an immediate impact. So with our choices that we make, where we purchase, we're having a direct impact in this so-called journey, right?
Yeah.
So I think especially with younger generations, I feel sustainability and the impact we have as humans on Earth, I think, has become even a more so important issue. Even in Albania, I mentioned this rise of tourism. I think there's been a lot of discussions from various actors in the government, also non-governmental organizations, and also the private sector, how to think about ecotourism. How do we think of tourism,
Right.
but while keeping our resources? So I think it's very interesting to hear that there are companies who have chosen this path. It's very true what Dan is saying, that companies follow each other in that sense, not only for commercial reasons, but I think even our developers, after they've had a chance to make the returns they've made, and our region has grown very fast, let's say, in the last 20, 25 years, faster than the rest probably of the world. They are happy probably to work on projects that have a different impact as well. So I think we are reaching that phase of not just commercial return, but also environmental return of these projects. In Albania, with this rise in construction, I am concerned for the operation side of these buildings, especially with rising costs of energy. And all these, expenses are touching everybody's family budget, let's say. And OPEX for corporations is also very important. So here comes a little feature of green buildings again, because green buildings, what they actually mean is better built buildings, right? They're
Mhm.
not extremely special. It just means that they are taking care of energy resources, water resources, maximizing natural light when you can, and all that. So I just wanted to chime in.
No, thank you very much, Stella, and thank you, Dan. But I wanted to come back to you, Stella, about could you share what is the experience of Colliers in other
Mhm.
countries being part of the
Yeah.
Green Building Councils?
So Colliers, starting from 2008, 2009, started an initiative internally within Southeastern Europe to really increase the knowledge base of its employees in terms of green buildings. So you can say that we were a bit avant-garde in this regard, because there were hundreds of us who went through training to become lead green associates, to basically get the basic of understanding of what a green building is, to get certified, and then to offer this as an advisory uh, consultancy to our clients in order to get them certified with their buildings. So Colliers has been one of the founding members of the Green Building Council in Croatia, also in Montenegro. Hopefully, we hope we will be one of the founding members of the Green Building Council in Albania. I think the timing is only right now. We are extremely for ESG in terms of what it stands for, not because it's the thing to stand for now, but we've been supporting, let's say, sustainability in full since, a very long time ago. So you can imagine 15 years ago. And myself, I'm a lead certified green associate since 2009. We've done our part in terms of trying to offer trainings to local architects, so that they could include, let's say, some of these green building features in their design processes. Of course,
Mhm.
we see them as one of the main actors in the sector. Of course, the ultimate decision maker is not the architect, is the investor. But we feel that they can be an extremely strong ally in terms of bringing these features to the investors. So we hope that in the future we can continue this, whether through the GBC or alone. But I think the timing is now to bring forward these trainings even more so, to prepare the stock not only for the midterm but for the long term as well. So we have countries like Sweden now who are preparing only timber buildings, for instance. And while they're thinking of using wood as a resource, they're thinking about all the impact that deforestation has. So for every timber building that they're planning a little mini forest to be planted. So it's never a simplistic view, let's say, right? It's always coming down to the war for these resources. What do we do about these resources? So I think the GBC in Albania, I really do hope it will be very similar to what Dan is sharing with us today in terms of fitting this triangular criteria of bringing together all these actors from the public sector, the private sector, academia, to really think of the challenges that the Albanian construction sector has. But not only just for the creation and the design of these beautiful buildings, but also for the maintenance of these buildings and the long-term impact that the maintenance of these buildings is having in the community. Most recently, we are starting to have discussions to bring to Albania also BREEAM neighborhood or LEED neighborhood. So BREEAM communities or LEED neighborhood. So it's a very similar concept from both organizations, where the true concepts of ESG are being applied, right? So you don't just think about the construction of the buildings, but you also think about the interchange and the communication that happens between the buildings, the people, the occupiers, creating a sense of community, because you are creating community at the end of the day with all this built product, right? You want to make sure you're creating the right community, where the community is actually thriving. So it would be a first in the region if we do that. It's a major undergoing, but we would really love to see it. Of course, it's a matter of resources and it's a matter of commitment from the investor as well, but we will try. I can assure you we will try. But I think the GBC can definitely have a very important role in terms of raising awareness with all these actors. For the time being, our let's say countries have been growing so fast, and like Dan said, the need for residential has been so high that not necessarily have they thought these developers about what do I need to do in order to bring these extra features, which shouldn't be extra features, they should be a part of every building. But now I think they need to think, what is my legacy with these buildings, right? What am I leaving behind with these buildings? Am I creating something of value, or am I just part of this fast moving world of just creating, selling, and nothing else, So let's hope that we have moved on to the second phase now, where we care more a little bit about this built product and the communities and the people who are coming inside, as we do spend more than 90% of our time indoors, guys. We're having this call indoors. So the internal air quality is very important, right? It's very, very important. Like I said, the construction industry is emitting 42% of carbon emissions. And we want to go to a net zero scenario. So lots to be done.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned Colliers founding the GBCs around our region. Yeah, in Croatia, the Colliers was also founder, but also they were the driving force in the beginning and initiator of everything that was going on in the beginning.
Yeah,
so,
we try. We're always trying to be at the forefront of these movements, not because we think It's the new thing to do, but because we believe it's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
And it is the right thing to do.
You also mentioned these different phases of operational phase of the building. Now we do something that's called life cycle assessment, where we use different life phases of the building and calculate the CO2, calculate the whole life impact of the building. So from the very early phase, when you extract the materials from the environment and build construction materials out of it, when you transport them, when you do the construction site, and then from the operational phase and the operational phase of the building, when you use energy, when you need maintenance, when you have all this impact on the people that they are using it, and then the end of life phase, when you need to recycle the building, reconstruct it, or reuse it on if it's flexible enough for some other needs. So all of this can be calculated, and we have the tools how to do it. For example, we use this. You mentioned LEED and BREEAM recently in our conversation. So there are three different most important worldwide certificate schemes. So there is LEED, which came from USA, and BREEAM, which came from UK. And we have this DGMB, which originally came from Germany, but now it's like a European initiative, which is developed several European countries and GBCs around. We are also partnering in it, so we equally and develop it as a partner with these other GBCs. And life cycle assessment is the most important aspect that you calculate in DGMB, not just for the environmental impact, but also on impact on humans, impact on the economy. So you do life cycle cost as well, and everything.
Very important work, because we have to think of these building. I always say, you think of a building as just made out of all these materials, but it's a living and breathing asset. There are people living there or working there, and it needs to work well for everybody for its entire life cycle. Exactly.
As you said, we spend 90% of our time in buildings, right? So
exactly.
Thank you very much, Stela. Thank you, Dan. To give a bit of context, Vidoje, for the audience out there, could you explain what's the whole idea RECONOMY is facilitating? Like, what is the regional value addition?
Thank you, Sabine. Thank you for having me here, and it's a great pleasure and honor to be in this video cast and to be in the company of experts such as Stela and Dan. And it's great to see that the discussion is like building up, and it's really productive and constructive. And hearing about success stories from Croatia and thinking about future success stories of the Western Balkan countries, it's really good. It's really good to hear all of that. And back to the question, so the core idea behind RECONOMY is facilitation of the green building councils in the Western Balkans is to foster sustainable development and create more job opportunities, particularly for women, youth, and other disadvantaged groups, which is the RECONOMY's impact goal. So taking the fact that the residential buildings account for a significant portion of energy consumption, ranging from 30 to up to 60% of all final national energy use in the Western Balkans, and this is notably higher compared to the approximately 40% in the EU countries, and as Stela said, like worldwide it's 42%. So there is like a huge space for improvement. So this initiative is part of our effort to change that, and it is also aligned with our broader goal of promoting energy efficiency and renewable energy in the region. So as Stela and Dean already mentioned, and they talked deeply about it, that green building councils play a crucial role in shaping policies, educating professionals, and implementing green building standards. And by supporting the establishment and strengthening of green building councils in all 6 countries across the Western Balkans, RECONOMY aim to create a standardized framework for green building practices that can be used and shared region-wide. Furthermore, so through educational program and training, Green Building Council help build a capacity of local professionals. So the green building sector, it requires a wide range of skills from construction and project management all the way up to the specialized roles like energy auditors, energy performance certifiers, and sustainability consultants. And by developing these sectors, we can create numerous employment opportunities, which is the final goal of RECONOMY. Also, Green Building Council plays a significant role in advocating for policies that support sustainable construction and energy efficiency. And by influencing policy at both the national and the regional level, Green Building Councils can drive significant change that promotes sustainability and environmental responsibility. As we talked also about certification, they also manage certification programs like LEED, BREEAM, and others that Dan also mentioned, which recognize buildings that meet specific green environmental criteria. And as we could already hear from Stela, it is also a large opportunity for the private sector development, as we talked about other companies following the successful cases in that area. And related to the second part of your question and regional value addition, I would like to talk about the regional value that will come once the national green building councils are up and running. We will be supporting and facilitating the formation of a regional green building council network, which will include all the national green building councils. For now, only Serbia is part of the World Green Building Council of all of these 6 Western Balkan countries. But our idea is to bring all of them into that world network and European network. So this network that we were talking about on the level of the Western Balkan region will be a platform for sharing knowledge, resources, and best practices, and it will significantly enhance the impact of our green building initiatives across the region. So by helping to establish this green building, RECONOMY is playing a crucial role in creating standardized green building practices in the region. But our goal is not just that. Our goal is beyond just practices, building practices. This initiative is designed to contribute to economic growth as well. We touched that subject a little bit before, and also trade in the region, and all that while promoting environmental sustainability. So to sum up all together, the establishment of green building councils under RECONOMY's initiative is about creating job opportunities, improving incomes for women, youth, and other disadvantaged groups, which is the target group of a RECONOMY program, building capacity of market actors and also green building councils, influencing policy and fostering both economic and environmental sustainability. And this holistic approach also benefit not only individual countries, but also adds significant value as a regional level by promoting collaboration and shared growth in the region of Western Balkan.
Thanks a lot, Vidoje, for giving context to the audience out there about what RECONOMY is really up to. You mentioned certifications, and I want to come back to you, Stela. In your experience, how does green building certification affect the valuation and appeal of properties?
Yeah, that's a great question. Initially, like I said, we had to run through this process of explaining what a green building is to the investors. Once the investors truly understood the value of this, then they had an easier time implementing it in their projects, okay? But like I said, in Tirana, we saw a direct impact in the interest of potential buyers and users. Not only that, but now we are receiving requests from corporations in Tirana. I don't know, I'm sure Croatia is the same, and also Serbia, where they will not locate their premises in a building unless it is a green certified building. So this is very important in terms of generating this demand for these green building certifications, that at the end of the day, what they do is they just basically certify that the building is a green building, right? So if this demand is coming from the occupiers, the potential buyers of residential space, but primarily occupiers of office space, in the case of office buildings, because the two buildings that have been certified have been both office buildings. If this demand is coming from the occupiers on their own, and it's also being pushed down a little bit by the banks in terms of the institutions who are providing the project financing, then I think we will see even a bigger number of these buildings coming up in the future. But the corporations are for sure one of the biggest pushers. And I'm happy to see that in 2024, we are having such discussions with corporations. And hopefully this will push further the sector and the investors to certify their buildings.
Thank you, Stela.
And the goal, as you know, Sabine, is not just the certification per se, right? The goal is for them to go through the entire process, right? When you look at LEED and you look at these 7 components that they're looking at, and it was like a mind-opening experience for me when we were going through the learning process in 2009. It starts with the site. I mean, what is this site? What are you doing with this site? What are the resources? What can you do with the existing topography of this site, right? So staying as close to the earth as you can, right? What can you do about the orientation of these buildings? So the orientation is extremely important because you're taking in all this natural light and you're making less use of these energy systems, right? So basic things like this that at the end of the day have a direct impact on the bottom line of every buyer, every occupier, right? Who is looking at all those monthly energy bills, So it's not the certification per se, but the process of going through the entire certification, right? From the site, to the energy, to water users, to indoor environment, all of it. So we just hope that maybe through the creation of this GBC Council of Albania, we will have a better chance to be and stand in front of these actors of the construction business, let's say construction sector, so that they can hear this and the impact it has to the wider community.
Thank you very much, Stela.
Yeah.
Dan, back to you.
Yeah. Sorry. All right. First, Vidoje, you really well explained what GBCs do, so thank you for that. And Stela, you are absolutely right about what you said. So why would someone do the building certification or green certification? There are several different reasons. We already mentioned this that it's about the finance, or about the occupants. If you have office building, then your occupants want to have offices in green building, and they want to have it in certified green building. So there is definitely that reason also, and you will get the better finance if you have in green bonds and everything that goes with sustainable finance if you have certified green building. But there is also like for example a reason for we are having a lot of certified buildings, especially recently with DGMB on our tourism sector, like hotels, like different touristic resorts, because the tourists, the clients that they are coming to the Croatia or doing the tourism, they want to stay in the green building, and they want to stay in certified green building, and also that's also the reason. There are several different reasons. It's not just the finance, but it goes on different levels. At least this is what we see in Croatia. I mean, globally there are even more reasons to go that way. So so now this year we are having we are already 15 years old, GBC Croatia, and since our beginning in 2009 we were promoting all the different certification schemes, So there are the three major ones: LEED and BREEAM and DGNB. But we were all the time thinking about we would like to develop Croatian certificate scheme, because this is what GBCs usually do. And then after all this thinking, and we were maybe thinking to develop from the scratch our own, and it's quite a lot of work, and it's not recognized internationally. Then it has some flaws. After all this thinking, we decided to go DGNB. And it brought us a huge know-how in Croatia. So we are working on several different topics and projects considering the DGNB knowledge in Croatia, with the Ministry of Construction, with the government, with different universities, with academia and so on, and energy institutes and the other institutes and so on. So this is the huge knowledge that brings in Croatia. But also, in the beginning, we had like mostly LEED and BREEAM projects in Croatia. And now it's been like 2.5 years since we became a system partner for DGNB, this European scheme. And it already became, it's so huge growth that we already became the #1 certification scheme in the buildings in Croatia. So why did we actually choose the DGNB after all? DGNB is the latest and the latest scheme in the development, and the most developed, let's say, the latest of this knowledge that it brings, And of course, it is European. It's connected with everything that comes from Europe. So you all know about ESG and CSRD directive and EPBD directives, ED and everything else. But there's also taxonomy, which is a very important topic, and levels and everything. So many things that brings up on the EU level, DGNB is in line with it. So someone will say, how did you know? How did DGNB know it in advance and become in line with all of these things? So the thing is actually that many of these European things come actually from the DGNB. So the European Commission and other institutions look at what should be done, about life cycle assessment when they were doing the levels, the taxonomy, what should be checked. They looked at the DGNB actually. So we didn't know in advance. It came out of it. What we realized later on, it's not only the checklist, as most of the others are. It's the tool for optimization of the projects, So it's rather a tool that the designers and architects are using to build and to prepare the sustainable design of the building. It helps them. It's not just bring us some different papers, so you showed us that it's like that. It helped them to optimize this building. And for example, there is no way that you can get to the 100%. There's no building that is 100% perfect. Because there are several different aspects that goes opposite to one another. For example, if you want to have perfect thermal comfort, you will have to make it not so much sustainable, because it will use more energy and so on and so on. So there are different aspects that goes opposite to one another. So this is very important. Anyhow, we of course wanted to be in line with everything that comes from the EU, and this is very important for us. It's now we are DGNB Croatia, So it's not German certificate in Croatia; it's European certificate in Croatia. So now 6 countries are using the DGNB, and we are equally partnering, developing it further, and even 3 more are coming into our family. And it is even considered that actually from DGNB it will become sort of one day European certificate scheme, official European certificate scheme. Yeah.
Do you feel like then, I'm sorry to chime in, just a quick question. Do you feel like the investors are choosing the scheme, or is it just because it's becoming more popular now and they want to make sure that they're following the European directives? Is it a choice
Yeah,
now, or
all
is
of
it?
it basically, all of it. Many investors in Croatia are actually coming from the outside,
Country.
international investors. I mean, this is our market like that. It's
Yeah.
but similar to yours as well, I
Mhm.
guess. So yeah, they're coming from some more developed market, and they heard about certification schemes and taxonomy and ESG and DGMB and everything. So yeah, they are coming and they said, "Yo, we want this," Some people just want anything, and then they see the difference, and then they see, okay, now we actually want to be we want to be future proof from Europe, and then they choose the DGMB.
Smart, very smart.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same logic that we used when we in Croatia, in GBC Croatia, when we decided which scheme to develop for Croatia.
Yeah.
Whether it would be our own or we should go, because there is also, you can use BREEAM. In
Sure.
Scandinavian countries like Sweden, they use BREEAM Sweden. They started from it, so we knew about it. So we were thinking, which way to go, and I guess that we use the same logic as they did, but. After all, it's not only that we are certifying buildings in Croatia, it's also the huge knowledge that it brings us, and it brings us on equal level to other countries that they are developing. So, for example, we say something is not senseless for Croatia, or something should be more strict or should be less strict for Croatia, or we bring up some new idea, then the whole European DGMB international scheme will be developed from our knowledge from Croatia. So
that's amazing.
This is very important.
Amazing. This is amazing. Yeah, it's amazing that even a small country can have such a big impact on the wider EU.
I mean, you just have to have good some knowledge and goodwill.
Right.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you very much, Stela. Now, before we close this episode, Vidoje, could you share what else is RECONOMY facilitating and supporting in the area of energy efficiency and renewable energy in the Western Balkans?
Of course, Sabine. Maybe this topic requires the part 2 of the video because discussion is just developing. Yeah. So basically, because I was listening carefully, Stela and Dan, and Dan was talking about the life cycle of the building, and that we need to watch to look at the whole process of the whole life cycle of the building. And Stela was talking about access to finance, and we need to think about also financing those green building projects and so on. So also RECONOMY has that kind of a holistic approach where we are trying to see the whole value chain in the process, and then to see where are the problems and tackle with those problems. So beyond setting up green building councils, RECONOMY is actively engaged in several other initiatives aimed at boosting energy efficiency and promoting renewable energy across the Western Balkans. And these initiatives are also focused on creating more job opportunities and increasing income for our target group, women, youth, and other disadvantaged groups. So let me shortly elaborate on these two key areas. We're working on green skills development and also on access to finance. We have two additional intervention. And first, let's talk about the green skills development. One of RECONOMY's major effort is enhancing the skills necessary for the energy efficiency and renewable energy sectors. This includes a variety of concrete actions to ensure the workforce is well equipped to meet the demand of these growing sectors, green economy. We are supporting the development of specialized training programs for roles like heat pumps installers and solar PV technicians, but also it was mentioned several times in this discussion that architects also needs to think about the design. So from the beginning of the of the whole process and life cycle of the building. The design is something that needs to be first step maybe. So we will also collaborate with the chambers of engineers and architects in developing some curricula related to that, and also maybe also bringing more knowledge and presence of the BIM systems for designing the sustainable buildings. So these programs will provide the participants with the technical skill needed to succeed in the green economy. And as I said, it's really growing rapidly recently, and Stella was talking about that at the beginning. And by focusing on women and youth, we are aiming to create more inclusive job opportunities on the market. To ensure the long-term success, we will help centers to develop sustainable business models, and we also offer continuous support to these centers to enhance the capacity to deliver high quality, up to date. That is really important too, so they can implement the new technologies as well and the new knowledge. Moreover, we're also introducing the badge and the skill passport system, and this system standardizes the recognition of skills and competences, making it much easier for professionals to demonstrate their qualifications, and on the other side, for employers to find the skilled workers. Also, as I said, we're working on the access to finance, and it is crucial for adoption of the energy efficient and renewable energy technologies. RECONOMY addresses these challenges through this intervention that we developed, and it aims to raise awareness as well and educate both the private and other and disadvantaged groups as well, because we will work with some NGOs that works with disadvantaged groups directly. They need to be informed and educated on the understanding of economic advantages in investing in energy efficiency and renewable energy projects. So basically, beside that, I can say that RECONOMY also focuses on promoting awareness and regional collaboration. So we raise awareness about the importance of energy efficiency and renewable energy through public campaign and events, conferences, promoting available training programs and financial products to ensure widespread adoption. So we're doing that through all these three interventions. So by addressing these key areas, RECONOMY is helping to build a resilient and sustainable future for the whole region of the Western Balkan. Yeah, that's short what is ahead of us and what
great work, great work, great work,
Yeah.
and a lot. And I just love it that the target group is, of course, women, youth, and disadvantaged. You know, I just think it's the right thing to do, and I think providing these skills to prepare the youth for the future, and also looking at it holistically and helping the employers find, you know, such trained and skilled employees, you know, makes the whole
and the
picture
idea is to
clearer, easier, and it's
Yes.
also ultimately helping with the major brain drain issue that we have in our part of the world.
That's
And
right. That's right.
clearly, you can never stop youth from going and exploring the world. But I think if you create more opportunities locally, then there's more for them to come back to.
That's true. So the idea is to actually develop an online platform where we will have a one-stop shop of resources for every aspect that we were talking about finances, about skilled
Very good.
workers. Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
thank you.
Lots of work ahead.
A lot of work. Yeah. But we will work together. So it's much easier.
So,
Thank you very much, Vidoje, for really good summary, actually. And that brings us to the close of another, I would say, very insightful episode of Inclusive Plug powered by RECONOMY. A big thank you to the guests, Stela, Dhami, and Vidoje, for joining this episode and sharing your valuable perspectives on sustainable building practices and the transformative role of green initiatives in real estate. And as we wrap up, remember that every small step towards sustainability contributes to a significant change in our environment. Now, to the audience out there, let's continue to support and drive the initiatives that foster a more greener future. Stay tuned for more episodes where we connect you with the leaders and innovators at the forefront of creating a sustainable tomorrow. Thank you for watching and listening, and don't forget to join us next time on Inclusive Plug. Goodbye.